Good evening, everybody. I'd like to call to order a regular meeting of the Board of Education of the Goshen Central School District being held on Monday, November 10th, 2025 at 6:30 p.m. in the District Administration Building. Being that we have Veterans Day tomorrow, I'd like everyone to please take a brief moment of meditation just to remember our veterans that are all serving us very hard after the pledge. Thank you.
To the flag of the United States and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you very much, everyone. I need a motion for executive session. We have Scott and Shannon. Be it resolved, the Board of Education will enter into executive session with the intent to reconvene the business portion of the meeting for discussions related to the employment history of a particular person or persons. All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? All right, thank you. We'll be back shortly. Pretty good? Right, so we just need a motion to reconvene the meeting. Refresh this time. All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Great. All right, thank you, everybody. All right, moving on, we have a few presentations here this evening, so I'm going to turn it over to our interim superintendent, so Tom Joby, to take it away from here.
That's great. Yes, we have three exciting presentations. The first one, it's all about kids, that's why we're here. So I'm gonna actually ask Principal Angela just to step up. We're gonna have an Eagle Scout project, but he can give a little background to our presentation.
Good evening, everyone. It's my pleasure to introduce Eagle Scout candidate, Liam Kessler. You know, when I spoke to Liam, he had really great interest in working with his Eagle Scout project, creating another kindness card, which we displayed in last spring Board of Education meeting, really with having the ability for our students, staff, community members, really take part in all of the great benefits of the kindness card. So Liam and I started talking, and we were very fortunate to have an alumni of class of 1966, Gordon Morrell, who's actually in troop 4063, the same troop that Liam is. And he donated the original monies for the kindness card 3-4 years ago, $5,000, which was we used half for our $5 challenge with Susan Armistead to help local community members in need, and the other half went to the construction of the card. So I asked Gordon again, how you doing? Give him some updates about his alma mater. I said, what about some more money? But no, I did a little better than that. And so Gordon said, send me what Liam's thinking about doing. So Liam had a project blueprints that was already created. And when I shared it with Gordon, just, where do I sign the check? Where do I send it? So Gordon was generous enough to donate a check for $650. It'll cover the lumber, the paint, and the expenses for the kindness cart. Liam's done a great job in organizing the next step in it. And so it's really just a great partnership between our alumni community and Troop 4063 in having a great thing come to our school and just to help the kids and students. So Liam is starting to work with in the next few weeks with Joe Fedor and our leadership, and along with his troop. And Mr. Morrell is excited. He just really doesn't like any accolades or thanks, but we do spend time and thanking him for all that he does for our school and his alma mater.
Thank you. Liam, I think that's amazing. It takes me back. I unfortunately did not get the opportunity to be in the Scouts. It really wasn't an active group. It wasn't an active group in my area at the time, but my father was a Scout leader, and actually one of my brothers was an Eagle Scout. So, and actually we'll talk where I live now, where Dan Beard was, and that was he was one of the founders of the Boy Scouts of America. Know your Scout history, I'm sure you do. Yes. Okay. So as part of our monthly presentations, we have our two elementary principals here with their it looks like they're fan clubs, I think. Here to talk about their PBIS programs, that's both GIS and SAS. So
Good evening, everyone. As we're just waiting for the lights, I'm going to try my best to keep up on this here. So thank you for having us here to speak about our PBIS program. We also have really tied this into our overall MTSS program at GIS. So again, the MTSS really pulls in all of our academics, our social, emotional, and our behavioral. And just wanted to give you a little bit of the background of where we've been at and where we're heading. So we really started out with the All-Star program, which I know Mr. Carter was actually kind of Dr. Carter was kind of the beginning of this, and we've took that, we ran with it, and over time, we also added our GIS All-Star Behavior. But then as we started looking at everything, we started taking a look into the research, and it shows obviously we get more of the behavior we pay attention to. So we really started focusing in on more and more of what other positive reinforcements can we put in place. Really trying to make sure that we're teaching the behaviors we want to see. And then with our amazing PTO, we also were able to get our book vending machine. So we added in a couple pieces here with being able to earn book points once they've earned a certain number of All-Stars. The All-Stars, we also were able to set something up where they're able to send emails to the parents whenever an All-Star is earned with the information why they earned it. And we started doing a little bit more with kind of looking into just smaller areas of the building that we can give out some more positive reinforcement. And this really began with the cafeteria. So we'll come back to the duck calls in a little bit, but some of our aides even were jumping in on trying to get more positive reinforcement that students can earn on Friends Friday and being able to do some fun things in the cafeteria as well. So we had all these things going on, and in the meantime, we were also putting in place a lot of restorative practices that we wanted to kind of intertwine into everything that we've done. So with all of this, we're trying to come up with good ways to bring it right back to the MTSS and the pyramids, like what is our overall program? So we really started centering around this idea of having a sense of belonging in the school. And, you know, this is just some more recent research, actually coming from National Child Bureau, with a literature review. The literature just continues to show that there is a very strong link to students' sense of belonging in a school and really everything that they do with us, both academic, social, emotional behavior, goes right back to MTSS again. So with that, we kind of came back to our all-star behavior. We also have our Choose Love social emotional program, and we really wanted to tie the two of them together. And I'm going to turn it over to really the most important people here to speak tonight, which is our amazing teachers who've taken the chance to really jump into an idea. I've had the pleasure of only being able to support it in every way possible. They're the ones that have really come together and brought up our entire PBIS program. So I'm going to turn it over to Mrs. Rampula and Mrs. Henry.
Great. So good evening, and thank you for the opportunity to share one of the most exciting parts of our Goshen Intermediate School culture, our Choose Love flock system.
So if you're familiar with the Hogwarts houses from Harry Potter, it's very similar idea to that, but with a little Goshen twist.
So at GIS, the flock system was created as a part of a district-wide SEL initiative, which was Choose Love, where each of our flocks names is incorporated with the 4 ingredients of Choose Love, which is courage, gratitude, forgiveness, and compassion in action.
Each flock has its own color and logo, which was designed by our very own GIS students, and those are the logos right there.
So what does a flock look like? Every student, teacher, bus driver, staff member is randomly sorted into one of our 4 flocks, creating a mixed community of support across the building. Family members are always placed in the same flock to avoid conflicts and keep that friendly spirit at home.
Flocks are all about connection because they encourage students and adults to build relationships beyond their classrooms. So they're working together, cheering each other on, and celebrating progress as a team.
So students love representing their flock colors and showing pride during events and challenges. It's amazing to watch friendships and bonds that have formed across the grade levels and their roles.
Together, our flocks earn points throughout the year for positive actions, academic achievements, and teamwork.
The flock system was designed with a clear purpose to strengthen our school community and help every student feel seen, supported, and connected.
The flock system promotes a positive school climate by emphasizing connection, relationship building, and genuine rapport among students and our staff. It helps create an environment where everyone feels they belong and are part of something bigger than just themselves.
Flocks give students and staff opportunities to work together toward common goals, whether it's earning points, completing challenges, or showing leadership. These shared experiences help build collaboration, cooperation, and unity across our school building.
The flock system motivates students to focus on positive behavior, strong attendance, and academic growth. Along the way, we celebrate progress and encourage students to show courage when challenges arise, reminding them that effort, resilience, and kindness always matter.
So the magic of the flock system lies in how we recognize and celebrate those positive behaviors and motivate students to keep making great choices.
Every day, students are earning points for their flock through the duck calls that Dr. Wentworth just spoke about. These can happen on the bus, in the cafeteria, at recess, and even through substitutes who are leaving the teachers with positive messages.
So points aren't just behavior, granted for behavior. Students also can earn them for being all-stars, like Dr. Wentworth described earlier. So they get 25 points for earning all-stars. Attendance points are earned daily. Even with an excused absence, they can earn points. It encourages consistent participation. Academic points are earned when students maintain or improve math scores. Responsibility points are with school materials, taking care of library books, computers, and other classroom resources.
And all of these points add up to our school-wide incentive system, which is our positive pun. We have a lot of duck puns. Showing students that every positive choice really does make a difference.
So as of now, this is our current flock leaderboard. These leaderboards are posted on our TVs around the building, on our school website, so students and the community members can track their flock's progress to see how the positive actions add up.
Right now, forgiveness.
Go forgiveness.
During the first 2 trimesters, flocks participate in STEAM team building activities, which are organized by our flock leaders and with the support from our Choose Love student ambassadors. Students work in mixed groups within their flocks to complete fun, engaging challenges. The top performing groups earn a significant number of points for their flock to keep the competition motivating and exciting.
It's just bouncing.
It's the lag.
They go,
They all
yeah!
cheered. From last year.
It's definitely frozen. Sorry.
That's okay. That's all right. So in the 3rd trimester, we celebrate with our Jelly Bean Flock Day, organized by our amazing PE teachers. The day is packed with games and challenges that promote teamwork, cooperation, and giving each student a chance to showcase their personal best.
It's frozen.
It's
I'm gonna-
frozen. Yay.
Yeah, it's
And the bottom picture is the flock day.
Oh,
That's the other one.
All right, hang on.
Well, our
It's a
first
little teaser.
team building activity is coming up in 2 weeks for November, where we're gonna do Harvest of the Heroes. And flocks are going to create scarecrows that represent the value of their flock. But back to this. So at the end of each trimester, we hold what we call Pondapaloozas. These are high energy celebrations where all of our students' hard work over the trimester comes to fruition. These events recognize effort, collaboration, and achievements across the school. I think it will do the video real quick.
Yeah. You want the video?
Yes.
So this is also the moment when we announce the winning flock and reveal their special reward. Pondapaloozas give everyone a chance to celebrate the positive choices that make our flocks and our school community thrive.
Each trimester, the winning flock earns a big reward. Last year, the students had a voice in choosing their prizes, which included a field trip to the castle, a glow party, and our end-of-year splash bash.
These celebrations reinforce the purpose of the flock program and enhance student motivation, encouraging them to make positive choices and work toward earning more points in the next trimester.
They also bring the Goshen community together with the support from parent volunteers, our PTO donations, and even our local Goshen Fire Department, who enhanced last year's Splash Bash by donating their time and equipment to help make this a real memory for our students.
These rewards highlight the value of effort, teamwork, and celebrating success.
The results, we believe, have been incredible. We've seen a stronger sense of belonging and connection among students and staff. Students are more engaged academically, daily attendance has improved, and behavioral incidents have become less severe. And perhaps best of all, our students' voices are at the heart of it all. They take pride in their flocks and truly care about making our school a positive and welcoming place.
All of this wouldn't be possible without the amazing support of our administration, our faculty, our staff, the PTO, parent and community volunteers, our Choose Love ambassadors, and of course, our incredible GIS students. The flock system has become a defining part of who we are as a school, a joyful, connected, and compassionate community where everyone belongs.
Thank you for letting us share this with you tonight.
Thank you very much. Great job. I can see everyone at VIS working really good job. That positive fun, working very hard, but remember, like a duck, but remain calm. Very calm under the water, the feet are going really fast.
Yes.
Great job. So now we have, I think this is gonna be an awesome presentation about this PBIS program at Goshen.
Good evening, everyone. So we are going to discuss our PBIS program that we have at Scotchtown. Mrs. Cruz and Tricia Sanders are our co-chairs of our PBIS committee, and they work alongside our teachers and staff members to put together this program. So what is PAUSE? PAUSE is part of our PBIS plan, where we have our committees that got together to talk about what type of behaviors we wanted to see in the classroom and at Scotchtown to show that the students are.
Right now, we should be good. Hang on, just coming.
There we go. To show positive behavior or positive behavior here at Scotchtown. So this all started when we did our code of conduct reframe, and we looked at what type of positive behaviors we wanted to see at Scotchtown. So we created this behavior matrix, which is actually in our code of conduct, and it's what we use to teach our students what it's like to prepare for success, act respectfully, work together, and stay safe. It's at the beginning of our social emotional learning curriculum, and it's the same language that we use in all of our classrooms, so that when we're talking to students about what they can do to be successful, we are all using the same language in all of the different areas around the school. Each of the classrooms has a large size poster of this, so all the teachers review it with the students, and it is something that we're constantly talking about at school. In order to motivate our students to be a part of that, we started our Possum Students program, which Mrs. Cruz is going to tell you a little bit more about. And it's our way that we're celebrating our students and the positive choices that they make each and every day.
Good evening, everyone. So you might be wondering, how do you earn a Possum ticket? So anytime a student displays these positive behaviors, any staff member in the building can award them with a ticket in the color that corresponds with the grade that the student is in. So we have blue for K and orange kind of salmon for first grade and green for second grade. And what's great about this is that there's immediate feedback. The staff member awards a ticket to the student, recognizes that behavior, and as Mrs. Driscoll said, it builds consistency across all settings in our building. So then when a student earns that ticket, they write their name on the back of the ticket and they turn it into their classroom teacher. And then on Thursdays, their classroom teacher selects a name from their classroom jar. That student is recognized as a Possum student for that week. It keeps kids motivated and it builds anticipation, and I think that they think that I know who the Possum student is gonna be every week, because they often ask me, is it gonna be me? And my answer is, I hope so. So what else do they earn? In addition to that recognition, we make an announcement over our speakers during the morning announcements, so the entire school community can recognize the students, the individual students in each class that are the Possum students. They also get to, they get a certificate and they get to choose a treasure from the Possum treasure chest. And teachers can also recognize students individually in their own classrooms. We've seen like a special desk that they get to sit in each week, celebrations in their classroom, and we also take a photo of all the Possum students and post it on Parent Square and send out a blast to all families so they can recognize the students and the Goshen community can recognize those students as well. But there is a collective goal. So for the grade that earns the most Possum students, Possum tickets, during our trimester has the opportunity to win a grade level prize. So each grade is competing to earn the most tickets, and then it encourages teamwork amongst the grade, amongst the students in the class, and there is shared accountability among all the students in that grade. It is a surprise, so I won't share yet what the next grade level prize is, but we've had a popsicle party, we've had a glow party, and
We got a chance to go to the GIS.
and they get a chance to go to the GIS playground, which is exciting because it's a new play space. So Mrs. Driscoll will let you know where we're going from here.
So each year we would like to keep expanding upon our program and to go from here. Mrs. Cruz actually worked with our bus drivers to bring our transportation department into this because a lot of the behavior that we see tends to take place on the bus. So she worked with the bus drivers to create a chart for the buses that's specifically about what the students could do on the bus to make sure that they are following all of the Possum behaviors on the bus. And now our bus drivers will also be handing out coupons that are tickets that are gonna be a different color. So they get excited when they come off the bus and they have those yellow tickets that they got from their bus drivers. So we're trying to bring it in that way, as well as in our cafeteria where they can earn them in the cafeteria as well. In order to kind of bring in reflection into it and the restorative practices, we did a take a pause to think sheet. So this is an age appropriate sheet that we're going to be going through with our teachers. That's going to be a reflection sheet so that if students do have to think about it, this is a way that they can sit with their teacher, talk about it, and then it will also go home to the parents so that everybody's using that same common language and that's something that they can use. And then kind of as our kickoff, because this is our third year using this program, we got our Goshen High School cheerleaders, and Kim Milazzo, one of our kindergarten teachers, is the cheer captain or the cheer coordinator. So she got the cheerleaders to come to Scotchtown this year, and they were actually the ones who taught all the students about how to prepare for success, act responsibly, work together, and stay safe. So we put together a little video, not me, Mrs. Marcolini and her daughter, who were very talented to put this together, our kickoff assembly, and then you're gonna get to hear from some of our students about how they stay Possum at Scotchtown.
Just meet that mic, so if you like.
Inside my bones, it goes electric, baby, when I turn it on.
Just gonna let this buffer for a minute here.
Inside my bones, it goes electric, baby, when I turn it on. Off from my city, off from my home, we're flying up no ceiling when we in our zone. I got that sunshine in my pocket, got that good soul in my feet, I feel that hot blood in my body, it drops. I can't take my eyes off of it, moving so phenomenally. Come on, like the
I'm gonna go into one of these jars. And we wanna fill it up to the top, and if you fill it to the top, there's gonna be another one, and then it's gonna fill that one up too. And at the end, we'll see who has the most.
Be prepared for success by saying kind words, paying attention, have our books ready for school. Be prepared for success by getting your stuff ready before the next morning. Eating breakfast. We know our schedule so the teacher doesn't have to say it. Be prepared for success by always having a backup plan and getting ready for tests. I am responsible when I keep my desk clean, when I return my library book, when I leave my hand on the carpet, when I be kind to others, when I walk in the hall, clean up at recess time. I am responsible when I listen to my bus driver, when I follow the rules, when I follow the rules of the cafeteria, when I help my friends, when I listen to my teacher and my friends, during the fire drill, walking quiet in the hallway. I am responsible when I sit silently on the carpet. When my teacher, when the cafeteria said, put your head down, I do a head down. When we have to raise our hand if the teacher's talking, I raise my hand. Sit silently on the carpet when the teacher's talking. I do my homework. Doing morning work.
Work together.
I do my morning work with Hannah.
I listen.
We stay safe. We stay safe by not running in the hallway. We stay safe by not yelling. We stay safe from keeping your hands to yourself. We stay safe from keeping our hands to ourselves. We stay safe by listening to teachers. We stay safe. At first, we follow our teachers outside. I would play with our friends in the park, and we take turns to be friends, and then I put my hands to myself. We never go up the slide, but we do go down. If there's a lockdown, we always follow our teacher. We stay safe. No flipping in the hallway. No running in the hallway. No flipping in the hallway. No touching the alarm button. No touching the fire alarm. We stay safe. Playground. Don't run in lunch. Be quiet and stay safe in any kind of school drill.
Thank you very much, everyone in Scotstown. That was positively awesome. Great job. So the third and final presentation, so Ms. Sanford Lambert and I will do an update, our second update on budget and kind of looking at where we were, where we're headed. Yes. Hopefully this is as awesome as the last one. Hi, good evening. Good evening, everyone. As I said, Ms. Sanford Lambert and I are gonna just talk a little bit about, we'll be doing presentations each month as an update for our upcoming budget. So today we're gonna be concentrating on and doing a little explaining of tax levy, the past, and then kind of a 5-year plan moving forward. Okay, so to explain this to not just the board, not everyone is familiar necessarily, as others are, with tax levy cap versus the actual levy. What does that all mean? So I'll try to give an explanation here. So you can see the years. So for example, in 1617, I'm not gonna read the whole thing, but 1617, you can see the tax levy cap. So the tax levy cap, that is a formula that we figure out based on the state formula. This is the amount of taxes that we can go up to, so when you do collect taxes. So we could have gone up to 8.9%. Where it says actual tax levy percentage, that is, in that particular year, the Board of Education voted to go to 7.4%. Now, the two numbers there, cap A and then B. So cap A, so what that means is we just want the board to see the history here. If the board in that year had gone to the 8.9%, they would have raised the 49,038,717. We went to 7.4, which is what the actual tax levy was, which was 48,346,183. Okay, so that's a difference of 692, 534. So we just want to show over the past 10 years that it's important to stay consistent and kind of keep it level, because then you'll have, you end up leaving kind of like better money on the table that, of course, we have to pass budgets that the public can support so that we can provide the best possible education for our students. But as you can see, at different points it varies. So again, the tax levy cap is where we could have gone. So the next year, as you can see, we got pretty close to the 3.2. In 1819, we went up to our tax levy. 1920, we were a little below. 2021, we met it. And then 21, 22, and then 22, 23, we had zero, which certainly, I'm a taxpayer too, and I'd love to see that because, hey, zero, that's great. But what that does is it does leave a lot of money that you could have collected in taxes to pay for, different programs in the school. Because later on, we're going to talk about needs and wants. Okay. So you can see this year we came to the cap. So we're 2.8. This board went to 2.8. But as you can see, over the past 10 years, there was $6.1 million that theoretically could have been collected, but for various reasons, we didn't go up to those caps. Obvious reasons, certainly, based on what people can pay.
Okay, and so what happens when we consider minimal tax levy increases? Over time, we actually run into areas where we bring in less revenue than our expenditure, so we have a budget gap. For example, in the current year, 25-26, we started with budget gap of $4.8 million. And we did close that gap. We made cuts of $1.8 million. And then we appropriated fund balance in the amount of $3.75 million, which fortunately we did have that fund balance to one side. But that is a historical amount of fund balance to be used to balance a budget in this district. Sorry, my nose. Future levy cap calculations could indicate changes where we would go into a negative position. And I'll talk about that more in the next slide. And then you can see appropriated fund balance. I just spoke about that. That would need to increase. And eventually, if you kept appropriating fund balance and you don't have the income coming in or the increased revenue, we could hit that funding cliff where we no longer have fund balance to appropriate and balance the budget. And we use reserves, fund balance, and unappropriated fund balance. And that also impacts our future building projects because we do like to have some money set aside in our capital reserve to help offset the cost of borrowing, and also helps you to front some projects. You can start working on them sooner rather than going out to borrow the entire amount. So that's also helpful in that respect. So here is the projected 5-year tax levy cap. And anytime you do a financial plan or you plan for a capital project, excuse me, you have to look at your projected levy cap, because you, as Mr. Bon Jovi mentioned, you don't want to have those spikes and dips. You want to keep it fairly level. It's not only good for the district, but it's also good for the taxpayer, because they're not having a spike or a dip, whether you stay within the cap or not. Historically, we have stayed within the tax levy cap. We've been at or below the cap. So that's been very helpful. But what I show up here is 5 years projected out. And the levy cap calculation is actually a complicated calculation. So I've simplified it by showing what the levy cap was. And then we are allowed to include exclusions. Our exclusions include the net debt service after our building aid comes in and we've made our debt payments. That's the net debt service. And that is considered an exclusion. So it's taken out of the calculation. Another exclusion could be an increase in employment retirement system payments and TRS payments, the teacher retirement system. Anything above 2%, we're able to include that in the exclusion. And so here we have the first 2 years, we do show exclusions, and they're based again, not on ERS or TRS because I don't have a projection for that amount. So right now that's just including our capital exclusions. But as you can see in 28-29 through 2030-31, we have a negative exclusion. Now, that doesn't mean that your tax levy is going to drop. What it does is it stays at 0. So you have to keep the same tax levy as the cap. So for example, in 28-29, you can see there's no difference between tax levy with exclusions, that number, or tax levy cap because it's a negative number. But what's good, not good, but what you should consider about those negative numbers is that's the perfect time to go out with a capital project, because that will give you an exclusion and that will maintain the tax levy cap at a better number rather than having a dip to 0.08%. We do have a small dip of 0.5% the year before, and that is because we have some changes in our pilots. We have a large number of payments in lieu of taxes, and that's another factor in the tax levy cap calculation. So in the beginning, we have to add in what we collected in the prior year, but then at the end of the calculation, you have to minus out what you expect to collect, because in essence, that amount that you're collecting is not taxed to the taxpayers, because we're already getting it from people with a pilot agreement. So this is, again, just a projection only based on numbers that I know about at this time. For example, the tax base growth factor, I've maintained that throughout the next 5 years. That number could change, most likely it will change, but 0.1%, so it's really not a major change. And then the 2% that is used in the formula, I don't anticipate going lower than that in the CPI because of the economy that we're in right now. I did not plan on any capital work to be done after the 27-28 school year, just to give you an idea of where those numbers came from. But again, this is just a projection only. So I've taken those numbers because they are needed in order to project out your financial plan for the next 5 years. And I know these are large red numbers on the screen and they do look scary, but I want to remind you that this is a projection and it's based on the numbers we know now. A 5-year plan is a living document that's consistently changing with the things that you know at the time. I've changed this document over the past 2 months 5 times, just to give you an example of what it's like. So you kind of go crazy trying to change it, but I tried to tweak it as best I could for the purpose of tonight's meeting. So as you can see, our revenue does not keep up with our expenditures, which we knew this year in 25-26, we had the same thing going on with this year's budget. We did have a $4.8 million gap, which we reduced to $3.7 million. Next year, there could be a $5.3 million gap, but this does not take into consideration retirements or possibilities of attrition. So if we do have retirements that we don't have to replace, we do have declining enrollment, those numbers will change. So for example, in January, when we get our retirements, we'll look at that and that'll change these numbers moving forward. because we also have contracts that are ending, the GTA and the GAA ends in 2027, and the CSEA ends in 2028. So I did keep the same values for a percentage increase over the next 5 years, but we do know they're gonna change more than likely, even from retirements as well, they will change. I did increase state aid by 2%. I know there's been talk about our foundation aid not increasing in the future, but I still increase state aid because it's unrealistic not to. And the reason why is because we have expense-driven aids, we have our BOCES aid, we have our excess cost aids, transportation aid, they're all driven by expenditures. So theoretically, if your expenditures go up, your aid should go up as well. So that is why I left the 2% increase in there for state aid. I used the tax levy cap calculation as if we were going to the cap for the purpose of this projection, just to show what would happen if we did do that. Let's see what else did I increase benefits by 5% per year. Our special education program has shown increases of 11 to 20% over the past 3 years. So I did put a larger than normal increase in there at 7% for the future 5 years, because we don't know if we will continue that trend upwards, or we may stay stagnant, or we may actually go down. We just don't know what kind of enrollment changes we'll see in this area, but I have to put something in there to be responsible. And then again, our regular BOCES services were projected at 5%. Equipment and supplies I've left flat. Your best hopes that they stay that way, and then debt services based on cash flow. So we could cover the deficits through 2030, 31 with our fund balance. I have the 25-26 fund balance unappropriated, which theoretically would go away at the end of this year, and then our reserve funds. And these could be used to cover a potential deficit over the next 5 years, but it's not a good recommended practice to follow. Like I mentioned, the funding cliff, we have to try to avoid that at all costs. And we don't want to use our capital reserves. Certain reserves we can't use for that purpose, but if anything else, we would like to increase our capital reserve to help us when we go to fund the project and reduce the costs of harmony. I covered everything. And I'll turn it over to.
So as I had a great time traveling to different events at the school, so it kind of comes with the territory. Pretty much every event I go to, whether it's a play or a tennis match or a club, someone comes up to me and gives me a great idea of things that we want and or need. So that's where you have to kind of, it's just like your home budget. There's a lot of things that I want. And there's also things that I need. So I want maybe a nice, a Corvette or something. I have some friends who have some Corvettes. Love it. But I really need something else. Right? So we're tackling this as an administrative team. Looking at the budget. So all members of the administrative cabinet, that's all the principals, the directors, we had discussions about what are your needs and what are your wants. Now, again, moving forward as a team, we will look at those and then prioritize them. Are there some needs and wants that are the same? That might raise that level a little bit. It's something that, more than one person needs, because we then need to balance that with, we have that, it was 5.2% is the projected tax levy. So we have to balance what we need with what we can afford. So that's what we'll be doing in the next couple of months, then working with the Board of Education. I'll be asking you also, well, what are some of your needs? Because I'm sure perhaps even more than me, because you're in the town. So when you're, shopping or at the supermarket or just walking around town, you may or may not get, a friendly suggestion or perhaps emails of things that really this needs to be done. And again, we have to determine what needs to be done and what's a want. The great philosopher, Sir Michael Philip Jagger, I believe, said, you can't always get what you want, but sometimes you get what you need. And that's gonna be our job to determine, hey, this is what we need and this is what we can afford. There's a lot of wants, believe me. So that's our job, to work with the board, with the administration, make those decisions and then make those recommendations to you. Thank you.
And thank you again to everybody making presentations tonight. It's helpful and informative, and having this information accessible to everyone is really great. We'll keep our meeting going tonight. Just gonna bounce it right back over to Mr. Bon Jovi.
Thank you, President Loftus. So at this time, I'd like to ask Principal Pantaleon just if you could meet me sign here. Tonight, Mr. Pantaleon is up for tenure, so we're just gonna talk about Principal Pantaleon a little bit, his accomplishments, then we will take a brief intermission for some snacks and discussion and celebration. All right, this on? Here we go. Yes, no? All right, thank you very much. Mr. Pantaleon, come on a little closer. 1995 was a very big year. The San Francisco 49ers won the Super Bowl. Toy Story was released, the original Toy Story. I believe in Hulk Hogan won the WCW championship. And Nick Pantaleon graduated from Goshen High School. And when you're going to the world of education, it's just natural that you kind of have that dream, you know what? I want to go back to my old school. I want to go back and serve the students and the community that served me, that made me the person I am. So I couldn't be happier for Principal Pantaleon, because here he is, 30 years later. It doesn't look it, I know. 30 years later, serving as the principal, and tonight up for tenure. So we'd be here all night if I went through all of his accolades. I do want to say that I said this when we were here with Mr. St. Lawrence, the toughest jobs, superintendent, athletic director, but I've done all of them pretty much. And the most demanding job I ever had was high school principal. It is a very demanding job. It is the toughest job in any district. So we're lucky to have Mr. Pantaleon here leading our high school. So among the many accomplishments, so Nick leading his team, they expanded dual enrollment opportunities for our students. They implemented new art and music graduation pathways. They established the seal of biliteracy. They revamped graduation and award assemblies, keep those moving a little bit. They created as we talked about, the Kindness Club and the Kindness Kiosk, which has been great for our students. They hosted the mock crash. They helped start an threat assessment team. In staff development, he's led the way on the new state ed and graduation measures. They've revamped the report card comments and hosted many community events. Just recently, we were the host of the Red Ribbon kickoff ceremony, which was an amazing job. So on behalf of Central Administration, the Board of Education, I'd like to thank and congratulate Principal Nick Pantaleon on receiving tenure tonight. Okay, I don't think you need to make a speech unless you want to. All right, so we're gonna take a brief intermission, Mr. President?
Before we do that, I'd like to ask for a motion to
Yes.
make the
I guess
appointment
we have to
for
make the
our
appointment.
10-year candidate official with Billy and Shannon. Be resolved upon the recommendation of the interim superintendent of schools, the Board of Education approves the 10-year appointment of Nicholas Pantaleon, 10-year area of principal, effective November 28th, 2025. All those in favor? Aye. Congratulations.
Thank you, everyone.
We'll take a motion for a brief intermission. All right. All right.
That our
Scott and Ashley, all in favor? Aye. We'll be back shortly. Thank you.
Yes.
I'm first.
Need a motion to reconvene the meeting? All right, we have Shannon, Scott, all in favor? Aye. Wonderful, so we're just going to switch things around a little bit here, we're gonna keep this great momentum going, we're gonna jump down to a few items on our agenda. Business items, items 1 and 2, I'll turn it over to Mr. Bon Jovi for a brief moment.
Thank you,
And
President
then we'll move
Loftus.
into those resolutions and then go back to the top.
Great, love it. So yes, let's keep that positive momentum going. So it's been some time coming, we wanted to get our team solidified at CJ Hooker Middle School. So I think I said in my first video, and I meant it, I just said that being a high school principal was the toughest job I had. Being a middle school principal was the best job I ever had. It's just something about the middle school, the age, the staff at the middle school. So we're so fortunate that Janelle Handel went from 10 months at the high school as an AP to 12 months as an AP at the middle school just this past summer. And she did an amazing job, really raising the bar so high. And we couldn't have had we still have, but she couldn't have had a better mentor and a leader than the legendary Roy Reese. I mean, this is like, you're getting, batting tips from Babe Ruth. So just unbelievable. So with that, I always feel it's extremely important for the principal, who Janelle's gonna be appointed tonight, to choose their own assistant principal. Because they're the ones who, you need to work together as a team. And it's important to find someone who complements your skills. So, at various times I've interviewed, many times people to be one of my assistants. And, the best candidate you can find is someone whose skills complement yours. I always say, I already have a Tom Bon Jovi, I don't need another Tom Bon Jovi. I need this, because your skills complement my skills. So we were extremely lucky, we went through quite a lengthy process, and we have Megan Connors, also to be known as Megan Colburn, who Janelle chose as her assistant principal candidate, and Megan's here tonight, so in just a moment, we're gonna be appointing both Janelle and Megan to their respective positions. Now, Roy Reese, look, we want Roy to stay as long as possible, so just so the board and the public will understand, so Mr. Reese is gonna, if his choosing, but he's been offered, so he's gonna stay right till December 31st on the books officially. So really until that Friday of before the holiday break. And then Janelle will officially take over as principal January 1st. And then Megan, Ms. Connors, Ms. Colburn will take over officially January 5th, because that's really the first day back. I am incredibly excited. I've worked with Janelle now for the past 4 months, and I worked with Ms. Connors in a previous district for a number of years, so she comes with an impeccable reputation and a lot of experience that she'll bring to Goshen Middle School to complement Ms. Handel and to make our middle school the best it can possibly be.
Bon Jovi. All right, with that, we need a motion for the appointment of CJ Hooker Middle School Principal. Bradley, Ashley, and Scott. Be resolved upon the recommendation of the interim superintendent of schools. Board of Education appoints Janelle Handel principal of CJ Hooker Middle School at a gross salary of $145,000 prorated, effective January 1st, 2026, with the tenure date of January 1st, 2030, in the tenure area of the principal. Ms. Handel has professional social studies 7 to 12 and initial school building leader certifications. Ms. Handel is replacing Heather Carl. Be it further resolved, the Board of Education appoints Janelle Handel to the following district positions for the 2025-2026 school year. As the coordinator of CJ Hooker Middle School. All those in favor?
Aye.
Congratulations. Now we need a motion to appoint CJ Hooker Middle School Assistant. Billy Jen. Be resolved upon the recommendation of the interim superintendent of schools, the Board of Education appoints Megan Connors, Assistant Principal of CJ Hooker Middle School at a gross salary of $18,000, effective January 5th, 2026, with a tenure date January 5th, 2029, in the tenure area of Assistant Principal. Ms. Connors has professional school building leadership certification. Ms. Connors is replacing Janelle Hindell. Be it further resolved, the Board of Education appoints Megan Connors to the following district positions for the 2025-2026 school year. DESA Coordinator Designee, CJ Hooker Middle School. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Congratulations.
We can take a big step forward here in Goshen Central School District.
Absolutely.
I'm very excited.
Yeah, we look forward to all things to come. So congrats again to both of you.
Thank you so much.
All right, now we're gonna dial it back to where we left off on the agenda here. All right, very good. So now moving into the president's report. Not too much to report on here tonight. We'll talk about later, but the policy committee did meet again. We are really trying to ramp up our meetings and we are really making great progress forward. I don't want to steal all of Francesca's points, so I'll just say one more thing. Whether you're a theater fan or not, you owe it to yourself to get out there anytime there is a performance at Goshen High School. The entire cast, crew, directors, everybody just does a job like you haven't seen. Get out there. I won't say too much. I think it'll come up a few more times, but congratulations. Outstanding performance by them. So with that, we'll just move on to our next one, our student representative reports. Francesca Zaccaro.
Thank you. Good evening. To start, Instant Decision Day at GHS was a success, with many students receiving acceptances to a variety of colleges. In addition, I would like to congratulate all the fall athletes as well as the cast of 192 Governors for their show and their season. Lastly, GHS will be hosting an assembly on Thursday for students in honor of our veterans. Veterans will come in and share stories with the students. I'd also like to say congratulations to the Goshen High School principal, Mr. Panleon, on receiving tenure tonight. Moving on to CJ Hooker, the acting club is preparing for its upcoming performance on November 21st. At GIS, the PTO recently hosted a successful pie run on November 8th. This pie run raised $11,000. Thank you to everyone who participated and supported the event. Lastly, at SAS, the PTO is currently collecting canned foods and toiletries to support the SAS families in need, as well as the community. Donations will be dropped off at the Goshen Food Pantry. They are accepted until November 15th, and current donations can be dropped off at SAS main office. Thank you.
All right, thank you very much, Francesca. Great job. I gave a brief update on policy. Do we have any other board member committee reports? Anything to add? All right, so then as we move forward, does anybody need any time to read any of the policies that are here tonight?
No.
Very good. All right, and I'll turn it over to Mr. Bon Jovi once again for our interim superintendent's report.
Thank you, Mr. President. So you mentioned at the beginning of the meeting, of course, tomorrow was Veterans Day. So just want to take a moment, it's the social studies teacher and me, just to go over what Veterans Day means, the history of Veterans Day, and just why it's so important. So many of you know, but I'm sure that some people weren't fully aware. So the roots of Veterans Day trace back to the end of World War I. So the fighting of World War I ended, also called the armistice. It ended at 11 a.m. on November 11th, 1918. So it ended at the 11th hour of the 11th day of the 11th. In 1919, President Woodrow Wilson proclaimed November 11th as the first commemoration of Armistice Day, and that was to honor those who lost their lives in World War I. Then in 1938, Congress made Armistice Day a legal holiday. Of course, the significance of the holiday became much deeper after World War II and the Korean War. So in 1954, President Eisenhower officially signed legislation to change the name from Armistice Day to Veterans Day to honor all veterans, living, deceased, and still serving in our armed forces, and thank them for their service to our country. So today, of course, the day provides an opportunity to thank all veterans for their service and to recognize their sacrifices that they made to protect the freedoms that we enjoy here in the United States. So to all veterans out there in our community, I know we have several veterans on our faculty and staff. I thank you for your service for our country. And you help make America great. So thank you to our veterans. So Parent Square, you may have gotten some cryptic phone call and message today. Some knucklehead was testing it and hit the wrong button. So this Thursday, this coming Thursday, November 13th at 6 p.m., it is that time of year again. I mean, they're calling for possible snowflakes tomorrow. So we have to test our system to make sure that it works. We need to make sure, you need to make sure you're getting the phone call. So this Thursday at 6 p.m., I'm gonna do a test run. So it'll just be my voice with a text message. There's a short text, then there's a longer email, and then there's the voicemail, and it'll just be that this is a test of the system. So if you can kind of keep in mind, Thursday, if you do not get those messages, however you usually get your messages, give us a call here at the main office and we'll make sure you are on the list. So again, apologize for any panic that occurred today at 2 o'clock. When we missed message, we tried to take it back, but it was too late. I think it was hit at 1:58, so it wasn't a lot of time. So tonight, we'll be passing the second reading of this Booster Club, among the Booster Club policies. So again, just to clear the air, remember, we're just kind of cleaning up the process for all the many Booster Clubs we have. We just want to make sure that all the processes are followed, everything's done correctly. We want to make sure that we aren't competing with the same products at the same time with fundraisers. That's tough. We don't want to be bombarding our families with, many fundraisers all at the same time. Everybody's selling, hats or whatever it might be. So again, we're not looking, and certainly it's our intent to prevent any fundraising or to prevent any booster clubs from being in existence. And we're just trying to organize it so the district knows actually what booster clubs we have. We know who's on these booster clubs, so who's the contact person. So I have a tentative date here. We will make this official. We'll send the Parent Square out, but tentatively, we'll have two informational meetings on Tuesday, November 25th. Because I know winter sports start on Monday the 17th, so this will be just 1 week into it, and usually once the sports start up, is when kind of some of that fundraising ramps up. So Tuesday, November 25th, we'll have a meeting right here in the boardroom at 3:30, and then a second one at 5:30, and we'll ask for just one representative from each of the booster clubs to come, and at that meeting, we'll review over the policies and what they mean. All right, so we'll have a PowerPoint presentation, and we have a nice, in the handouts, you'll see, we have a nice kind of informational pamphlet, which really answers most of the questions. I do have an update on the superintendent search. So the superintendent search survey is now on the district website. For those of you who don't get to the website a lot, it's right on the front page under the heading District Headlines. And it says, help shape the future of Goshen schools with superintendent survey. So you go there, you click on this page, and then the next page will say, take the online survey. So obviously you click there, the survey comes up, and that first question is gonna ask you, do you want to take the survey in English or Spanish? So whichever one you click, the rest of the survey will be in that language. You also, if you're a Goshen resident, should have received a postcard last week. And that postcard has a QR code on it, and you can scan and then just do the survey right on your phone. Now, those will be, the paper copy is due to the central office, if you end up doing a paper copy, December 1st. The rest, the digital surveys will close December 5th. So you have a month, over a month to get this done. And the idea is then, once we get all the answers, you'll create a profile of, okay, these are the kind of the most important attributes that the community sees in their next, or wants in their next superintendent. And then the board will proceed from there based on those recommendations from the public. So very important to take that survey.
Mr. Bon Jovi, if you don't mind, I'd like to interject for
Absolutely.
just a moment. If you are new to this conversation, just to let you know that this survey was something that the board considered would be a good idea to try to maximize feedback from all of its stakeholders and all of our community members. It's a survey that we reviewed and came up with and thought it would be a good idea to send out. And we asked, Maureen and Mr. Bon Jovi to please make sure that that gets executed. And so it just came from us, in case you're just now listening in.
Thank you. I held my second coffee with soup, so that's me, the soup. We held it on Thursday, October 30th. That was from 8:30 to 9:30 a.m. at the Diplomat Cafe right here on Main Street. So we had a number of high-powered guests, including Orange County Supervisor Steve Newhouse, we had Goshen Mayor Molly O'Donnell, and Chief Ryan Rich. We had Rose Chiappi, who's the director of Goshen Public Library, and several parents there, including Dr. Carter and myself. So there was great conversation, great collaboration. I gave an update on the district. All those members kind of gave an update on their individual things that they're in charge of. It was really great conversation with everyone. Now the next event, the next coffee with soup, and we'll send Parent Square out, on the website. That will be Thursday, November 20th, from 8:30 to 9:30 a.m. at Orange County Bagel. So the nice new building there, Orange County Bagel. When I went there to set this up, man, they don't have just bagels. There's some nice looking baked goods and very tempting. I got out of there without buying anything, but I was tempted, believe me. So that'll be a nice event. I just wanted to reiterate, I know the board knows and some of the staff, but back on October 29th, we had the Mid-Hudson School Study Council Awards for Excellence. And there was over 300 people there from just about every school district in the county. That was at the barn at Villa Venezia. And we were honoring Jim Sterrett and Dr. Erin Hiles. So again, just another congratulations to them. I want to give an update on the capital project discussions. So we mentioned about, look, we need a capital project to help our budget. So there's a lot of things we need some work done. So we've been meeting, we met with the Building and Grounds Committee, but Ms. Van Laren and I, we met with in the last week or so, the two most important steps before our next Buildings and Grounds meeting. We met with Jason from Bernard Donegan, they're our financial advisors. So they're the ones who really crunch the numbers and tell us, okay, this is how big of a project you can do, because the list that we have, is about $25 million worth of things that need to be done. From things that most people aren't going to see, boilers and asbestos work, but then other things that you are gonna see. So again, we then met with our architects from LAN to talk about the project. So really the next step now is for us to schedule our next Buildings and Grounds Committee meeting so that we can start to look at the list that we have of things that need to be done and prioritize them. Because these are all needs, but the reality is we can't afford to do all of them at one time. And the goal here is to do a project that, again, the voters can support. Now, as part of that project, very possibly, is gonna be kind of the future of this building. So, we have to we'll be talking about with the committee, so there's no secrets here. What are we gonna do about central administration? We love this building, this is a fabulous building. I know there was a lot of talk last spring. There's been talk about, well, what the district gonna do with the Main Street building? So that's gonna be a conversation. Are we keeping it? Do we sell it and then build something new as part of the project? Or do we need to rent? So we love the building, but we just had to put about $800,000 into the building because of asbestos. And that was just one area. There's still asbestos in different parts of the building. So it becomes, you get to a point where something is, becomes a money pit really, where you're just gonna continually be putting money into it. So that'll all be a part of our discussion. So we'll be reaching out or, to our committee and set that up, before, in the month of November. All right. Back on the November 4th conference day, so we had some departments, and this is countywide, different departments travel to different locations. Some particular districts host, a particular subject area. I know a lot of schools also, they send some people to Argyle symposiums. So the remaining staff, which was a lot, was in district. So I feel it's always important when you have those opportunities to get everyone together. So from 8 to 8:30, the staff members who were here that day, which was a number of them, we met in the high school auditorium. And we did our honoring of the kind of the tradition of honoring people who've hit that 20, 25, 30-year mark and so on. So we wanted to do something a little different this year. Usually they're just kind of, you read the names out, they're called up and they get their pen and then they sit down. So one of I always end my presentations with, take what you did last year, do it better. So that's what we did, and I think we hit that mark. So with the help of Christina Moore, our public relations specialist, we made a video. The people were asked 3 questions. They were asked, name a staff member, a fellow staff member who inspired you. So that when you're watching this video for the first time, there's people sitting in that audience who didn't realize they were going to be named. And it was really very touching to have, one staff member thank another. They were then asked, well, what do you love about Goshen? So they answered that. And then finally they were asked, if you could summarize your career in 1 word, what would it be? So I know we watched a lot of videos, but this is great stuff. This is why we're here. So it's about an 8-minute video. It was very well done. And we're gonna have Mr. Rediker put that video on right now for us. Hopefully doesn't open.
It's gonna need to, but I'll.
A colleague that has impacted me and inspired me would be Jennifer Capozzi. She was the first person I worked with in a co-teach environment when I first started at GIS. And she was very warm and welcoming. Students loved her, parents loved her. So it was a great role model and example of like a teacher that you could just look up to and model your own teaching after.
I think it's going to be Christine Guerrier. I started working in special ed with her probably 15 years ago in Scotchtown Elementary School, and she was always very calm and she really taught me a lot.
I would probably say there's 2 retired teachers that really made a big impact on me when I first started teaching. One of them is Pete Paduke, who I always think of as the person that taught me how to teach, how to communicate to kids, how to manage the classroom. And I think without him, I probably wouldn't be the teacher I am today. And the second is Linda Kowalczyk, who kind of adopted me as her kid brother when I first started teaching and has been my Goshen big sister for the past 30 years. And probably more than being the teacher I am, I probably wouldn't be the person I am today without her.
He's retired, but his name is Jack Holby, without a doubt. He was an English teacher that I was lucky enough to work with when I was first hired 30 years ago. His guidance helped me find my footing and set the tone for my entire career. To this day, I consider myself incredibly lucky to have had the opportunity to learn from him.
I would say that would have to be Beth Miller. Beth was a social worker here several years ago. She's probably one of the most genuine people that I've ever met. So kind, so caring. She always made people feel like they mattered, and she's really impacted a lot of students and adults in our community.
So I'm going to choose my special area team. Their creativity, their relationships that they develop with their students inspires me all the time.
I feel like the people who have inspired me most are the role models who I've worked with, who remind me always that we're here for the students. The people like Helen Ruckert, Robert Karshauer, Roy Reese, who's back with us again, are some of those people.
There's not just one source of inspiration here at Goshen. It's been many, from administration, faculty and staff, buildings and grounds personnel, and of course the kids.
So it's not really one particular colleague, it's just over the 30 years that I've been here, there have been a lot of my colleagues who've persevered through a lot of difficult times, not just personally but professionally, and those are the colleagues that have inspired me.
Colleagues that inspire me are the colleagues down in the ENL program, and there's 4 of them. That's Catherine Gonzalez, Isabella Almodovar, Anna Serrano, and Soraya Puertas. What's cool is with those students, those 4, it's more than just teaching. They become almost like an extended member of those kids' families. And it's really something to see. So when I look at that, I go, it's something that inspires me and something to aspire to become.
I've had a couple that inspired me. The reason I became a teacher was when I was in high school. I'm also a Goshen grad. So I had a man named Walter Giattino who had told me back in the dog ages in the 80s I would make a great teacher. And his wife, who I had as a 2nd grade teacher, also was very kind. And when I got the job here, she was the first person I went to go see.
I work directly with 2 fantastic music teachers, Kim Longo and Kristen Scully. On a daily basis, they are the first people I see at work, and I just can count on them. What they do with their students, they make their students a priority, and that's something I always strive to do because I want to follow in their footsteps.
Patty LaCara's work ethic inspired me more than anyone I know. She worked so hard all the time. It was never about the recognition you would receive. It was about the student and how you could best help the student accomplish whatever they needed to accomplish.
My colleague when I arrived here in '95 is Mr. Michael Issacs, and he was not just my friend, but he kind of showed me the ropes when I got here as a young teacher in the '90s, and so definitely Michael Issacs. But my 2 members of my department, Carmina Villegas and Marie Panzer, are the 2 that kind of continue to inspire me. Their endless energy, their moms, their teachers, they're amazing.
You're not going to find a profession with people who are more dedicated. Everything from grabbing broken down bicycles, having them repaired, to give them to kids in need. This is the most dedicated profession I've ever been in. A lot of times here, sometimes I'll say, wow, I'm still getting a check for doing this. So I have had an outstanding time here. My alma mater, I have no complaints. It's been great. Where'd the time go, I would say? It went by so quick.
Everybody knows Mr. Norman. You don't mess around with Mr. Norman. You follow Mr. Norman's rules. And everybody's always been very respectful to me.
Oh, I like the people that I work with. We all get along for the most part.
I like the people that I work with. I enjoy coming into work and I enjoy goofing with them or whatever, and it's fun. I enjoy it.
I had very good experience in here. I had wonderful colleagues. I've been here for 20 years and I've met wonderful people who retired. I miss them dearly. And the people we have now, they're perfect. I mean, they're sweet.
Anybody honestly that's new here always says what a big family it is and how they love working in this building with this group of people because they are special.
If I could describe my whole time here in one word, it would be privileged. Because let's face it, we have a bunch of adolescents who allow us into their lives every day. And they appreciate it. Kids get a bad rap. I'm so sick of the kids today. Kids are good.
If I had to choose just one word, it would be evolving.
Enjoyable. I like to come to work. I've never had an issue not wanting to get up and come to work in the morning. I come in and do my job and go home, and I'm happy that I've delivered the kids safely.
Adventurous. but lots of fun. I love what I do, and the kids keep me going every day, and I wouldn't want to do anything else.
If I had to sum up with one word how I felt about working here, I'm going to say blessed.
If I could sum up my time here in one word, it would be excellent, and it was fun.
If I could sum up my time here in one word, it would be an adventure.
If I could sum up my time here in one word, it would be fulfilling. I feel like we pour a lot into what we do, but we get so much back in return.
If I could sum up my time here in one word, it would be fortunate. I feel very fortunate to work in Goshen with great kids and great colleagues. I feel very fortunate to love what I do and teach a topic of U.S. history that I've always really enjoyed. And I just love the students that we have here, that we work with.
If I could sum up my time here in one word, first thing that jumps to mind is rewarding.
If I could sum up my time here in one word, it would be that it's been a journey.
If I could sum up my time here in one word, it would be meaningful. That's it, meaningful.
If I had to sum up my time in Goshen in one word, it would be exciting. Every year has literally been different for me, and I kind of find fun in that.
In one word, to sum up my time here has been amazing.
I just wanted to thank all of those people who were able to participate in that video, and hopefully we start a new tradition, with this. So it's not just honoring, the person who's in the years, it's them honoring those people who helped them pave the way. So with that, that is my report for tonight.
Great. Thank you. Well done. Very nice. And now moving on to our Assistant Superintendent for Business Report, Ms. Van Houtmatter.
Thank you. Good evening. So our tax collection period is officially over and it has ended, and our total collections were 93.4%. Our internal auditors, Cooper Arias, will be doing a risk assessment the week of December 3rd to the 5th. Actually, it's midweek, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. And you'll probably be getting correspondence from them, a questionnaire if you haven't already. And after they do the risk assessment, then we'll probably have a committee meeting and we'll look at the draft report of the risk assessment and choose what to focus on next. And for our treasurer's reports for the month of October, our expenditures in the general fund were $7.8 million. We received BLT lottery, $144,000. Our pilots came in from Legoland, the presidential containers, and the Power Authority, and that total was $1.3 million combined. And then our taxes for the month of October collected were $28.0 million, and our interest earned was $219,000. So remember last month the interest was around $88,000. Now we're trending back up again because we have our tax collections in, so we'll start earning that interest. Our total expenditures through the end of October were $21.6 million, or 22% of the total budget. And we earned $66.5 million in total revenue through the end of October, or 72%. And we are in line with where we were at the same time last year in October. And that's all I have. Any questions?
Thank you. Right, now, our Assistant Superintendent for Curriculum, Instructional Personnel, and Technology Report, Dr. Jason Carter.
Thank you, Mr. Loftus. Good evening, everyone. So I have a few brief updates for you and also just some items to make you aware of. We've been busy here over the last month, so trying to share as much as we can this evening. So as you know, we're still going through some change, some transition. And so this year, I've had the unique opportunity to attend lead evaluator principal initial training at Orange Ulster BOCES, which means on completion of the training, I'll be responsible for evaluating our administrative team, specifically the principals. And so I had a great opportunity to meet with Mary Stephanie Corsons at BOCES. She is a very accomplished and knowledgeable former administrator. So I spent a good amount of time with her going through our current 3012D plan here in district, talking about the number of observations, but more importantly, just delving deeply into the MPPR rubric that we do use here. with a focus on the alignment with the new PSO standards. So that transition from the ISLIC standards to the PSO standards does require a little bit of a crosswalk and alignment. So spent a great deal of time doing that. We also talked about some potential for variations rather than material changes in the near future. So we do have an opportunity to have some discussion about, for instance, the number of announced visits and unannounced visits that we will have with our principals, or of course, we can decide to stay the same. With that being said, we also did speak about the mandatory conversion to 3012E. And so Weblaw 3012E will sunset. But we've got quite some time, roughly 8 years ahead of us. We need to prepare for 2032-33. So we do have some time, and we can take incremental steps to get there. So I'm very confident that we can work this out as an administrative team, and I'm excited to begin that process with our administrators. Mr. Bonjovi and I also had a chance to meet with some BOCES representatives to talk about the incarcerated youth program. And so, that is a program that has always been the LEA's responsibility, with Goshen being the LEA, as we do have facilities in district. Sometime around, I would say, COVID-19 pandemic, things kind of changed a little bit with responsibilities. Not that we didn't have responsibility, but that BOCES really stepped in and helped out tremendously with monitoring those programs, because there was limited access, which has most recently become limited attendance in those incarcerated youth programs. Nonetheless, we do have to be prepared, because we do have a responsibility both fiscally and programmatically. And so, we did have that meeting to talk about what does that look like moving forward. And so just to kind of make you aware of how it may work, it does start with Mrs. Van Punt-Limmer and of course our team looking at what the potential fiscal responsibilities will be, not just for potential staff members, but also maybe credit recovery or whatever form those instructional programs may take. But we also have to establish a good collaborative working relationship with a liaison from the actual program itself at the facility. And so this is something that we've had established for quite some time, because while we weren't necessarily involved with monitoring program, we were reviewing transcripts and seeing who was ready to receive their diploma. And so, any student under the age of 21 who has not yet received or earned a diploma, it's our responsibility to give them that opportunity, as long as we anticipate them staying for more than 10 days in that program. So we have that established. I think we're in really good shape with that. And then there's also, of course, any educational evaluation that may come to light through the liaison, and then the implementation of those programs is our responsibility. And that's about it is no less than 15 hours per week of instruction. So I don't see any problem with us handling the program. I don't see any problem with us having and implementing the transition plan that we did develop previous. It's just a matter of how many students, how many incarcerated youth will be presented, if any at all. We prepare fiscally and, of course, staff-wise to take care of that. And I say we'll be fine. We're diligent to do that. On last Thursday, I had a great opportunity here in this boardroom to meet with all of our new teachers and support staff to talk about the district APPR plan and of course, their responsibilities in presenting information as a part of their evaluations. But more importantly, we really got into the number and type of evaluations, how to prepare for those, and how to use that Danielson 2011 rubric, which is really designed for reflection purposes. We had a long conversation. We had a great conversation. I think all of our new teachers, and even those who may be considered veterans, had a great chance to ask questions, gain clarity, and I think they're quite comfortable with our current APPR plan. And so I think we're going to be fine there. And I know our administrative team is ready to begin those as well. Also wanted to mention a couple of items regarding professional development that we have going on. And so this kind of builds on some of the things that you had seen today or earlier this evening by way of your presentations for PBIS. Where we tied it into MTSS. And so at GIS, we have our leadership team training for implementing restorative practices with the New York court system and also NISA, that partnership. And so Dr. Wentworth and his team found a great opportunity that they began attending beginning on November 5th and 6th. And we have upcoming meetings on the 12th through the 14th, and this entails half days with the leadership team. They are virtual. You're joined by many throughout the state. And again, focuses on, for us, again, gaining more clarity of the restorative practice in that process, and then developing our discipline plan and the stages of implementation. And so I think this is a very beneficial program. And I commend the team at GIS for taking part in this. Moving on to Scotchtown, just want you to know, I know you're aware that we do have an ADAC prevention specialist, Mrs. Figueroa. We're very fortunate to have her on staff, and so she will be traveling down to Scotchtown Avenue to begin working with our grade 2 students utilizing the Too Good for Drugs program. And so the Mendez Foundation puts out most of, if not all, of the Too Good for whatever it may be curriculum. And so we will be implementing that. And this is really about prevention with alcohol, drugs, tobacco, and other substances. But it does go a little bit deeper in that we're helping students understand how to set attainable goals, how to evaluate and really steer away from any unwanted peer pressure, or how to simply look someone in the eye and say no, which I think is extremely important. And then there's also other skills that they will develop through this program, with just recognizing their own emotions and understanding how to deal with those emotions at that moment in time, which is most certainly a life skill and not scenario specific. So I think we're very fortunate to have that here. I had mentioned DataWise training in the past, and so you are aware that we had our first training on the 28th of October, which really helped us to gain a better understanding of the 8-step process. Our next meeting is actually November 12th when we return at the Scotchtown Avenue Conference Room, and so our GIS team and our Scotchtown team will really now retrieve that NWEA MAPS data and analyze that data, looking to identify areas of focus for instructional purposes moving forward. That's huge for us because, of course, we have a lot of data, but we're at that point now in really polishing up that MTSS program and inserting DataWise in the 8 steps to utilize data appropriately. So I think we're going to make great gains with that. We do have other meetings on the books. I'll talk about that as we move forward in our next meeting, just to keep you in the loop on that. And again, this is a part of our TSI designation and our plan that we're submitting. I know substitute teacher training always comes up, so I just wanted to make you aware that you do see on your consent agenda, we are appointing a few substitute teachers this evening. This is a rolling application for us, and with that, we do have substitute teacher orientations each month through OU BOCES. It's over the course of a 3 or 4 day window, and it is self-paced. And so we currently have about 10 substitute teachers that have completed their packet. We're just waiting for them to enroll in and complete the substitute teacher orientation. And so, we'd like to say we're encouraging you to do so as quickly as possible because we would love to have you in our buildings. If anyone needs assistance, if anyone's listening, just contact Michelle Cerno or Andrea Ricciardi here in our central office, and they will assist you in signing up for those. With that, and kind of on the same line as assistance in our classrooms and beyond, I wanted to talk to you quickly about our transportation department. I don't know if you did notice, but on the consent agenda, you'll see 10 individuals at the transportation department being appointed as cafeteria and or recess aides. And so this is an area where when we provide coverage for our people who are consistent part-time employees, it leaves a little bit of a gap for us throughout that day. And so we established a very good collaboration with our transportation department. Our elementary principals have reached out repeatedly to continue to request and to get names of individuals that we can get on board. And so we have 10 this evening. I do think it's a real boost for us in covering those off times. I'm hoping that it'll be very consistent coverage and very beneficial for us. As Mr. Bonjovi had mentioned, of course, we're moving into Veterans Day. And so we do have the local Veterans of Foreign Wars, the VFW here in Goshen, going out on November 13th to the high school to have an assembly to talk to all of our students about, of course, their experiences in the military, leadership capacities within the military. There's a lot of familiar names on there. We are very, very grateful and very fortunate to have a very decent amount of veterans from the VFW willing to go and spend some time with our students at the high school. So we're really looking forward to that. Mr. Pantaleone and I, along with the two ladies in our business department, have been talking about some proposals to bring in some more dual enrollment courses through Ramapo College. And so most recently now, we're talking about a tourism and hospitality management course, which I think is very fitting for the time. We do have some work to do on it. I did pull some statistics to look at some of our current courses and what that 3 or 4 year enrollment trend looks like. And so it does, it does bounce around a little bit, as you would expect, because it is based on student need in the elective areas, but also student interest, right? And so that does fluctuate. We are not looking to get rid of a course, right? So we're not supplanting anything. We're looking to add opportunity because down the road, we are aware that we're going to continue to search for some more graduation pathways. And so you do have the potential here to get a CTE pathway, a graduation pathway in hospitality and tourism. There are school districts in the state. It is a program that we can begin to develop. And with the two individuals that we have in the business realm and beyond, I do think we have an opportunity to expand. So, as a team, we're looking. I do think that we could be successful with bringing this in. I do think there will be interest. It's just a matter of the logistics of what may come out of the rotation in that course catalog. We don't want to limit participation. We don't want to limit opportunity based on interest. And so we've got to be careful with how we rotate things out and what course that will be. So it is a work in progress, but I want to make you aware that it is on the pocket. Moving on, Mr. Bon Jovi and I had an awesome opportunity, which happens often, but not often enough, to visit our C.J. Hooker Middle School and attend the science fair in one of our life skills classes. And so, a very familiar face as the classroom teacher, did a wonderful job with support staff, classroom aides, and beyond. To have our 6 students actually go through and talk to us about, while showing us their actual presentations, to talk to us about what would be considered their research problem, to talk to us about their research plan, and talk to us about their hypothesis. And so we had a chance to look at, the step-by-step process and also the finished product and have great conversations with our students about, what is the possibility of taking a bag full of water and poking a pencil from one side through the center and out the other? What is the possibility when doing that water will leak? Will it or will it not? What is the possibility of a raisin floating in water, a glass of water, or, within soda, for instance, with carbonation? And so, great opportunity. We enjoyed ourselves. It is an excellent chance for us to get out of the office setting into the classroom and enjoy some of the hard work and success of our students. So very appreciative. And then I also had a chance last week to sit down with Mrs. Pahookie. You all know Mrs. Pahookie is extremely involved in many ways in our art program. And so I met with her to talk about, the current state of our art program, not just our continuum and our course catalog, but where are we at with our curriculum, what might we need. She had a lot of great things to say. Of course, we talked a lot about our student success, which I'll cover in a minute, but most importantly for me, she made it very clear that our curriculum is considered to be very up to date, very current, and we're very happy with that. And so it leaves room to polish rather than create, and it's always a good situation to be in. And so, we moved on to talk about that continuum of learning from kindergarten or first grade right now all the way up through 12. So we had a chance to talk about those foundational skills and what classes are building and how important it is. And we did identify areas that we need to work on. And so that's an important piece of the conversation as well. Course enrollment is extremely strong, as we know from past presentations. And as you're aware, we have the new pathway for graduation. And so we have to be on point with what we're presenting and how we're presenting the material. We know that our students are excelling, 66 students over the last year that were recipients of awards, both OVA and Scholastic. That's a tremendous number. It's positive growth. And we also have students attending some of the best institutions throughout the country. We have interest from institutions in our programs, and so she made it very clear, meaning Ms. Hookey made it very clear, that we have had representatives of universities reaching out to say, hey, you know, when your students come here, they're very well prepared. We're very fortunate that they're here. We'd like to bring more. What can we do to generate interest? And so I know that you'll be presented with information in the future about potential visits and so on. All things to be very proud of. We had 15 students attend a national portfolio day with, again, institutions from all over the country at the Javits Center in Manhattan. And so, you know, the goal there is to take your portfolio of work, your 15 to 20 best pieces, and show them off to representatives of these universities. And one was accepted right off the bat, which is extremely impressive. But the general feedback that's received for our students to work with is even more important. And so, as you can see, the art program is thriving. You know, we do know where we have some gaps, maybe in some skills and maybe in some choices and maybe even staffing. But there's an awareness, and so we're moving forward in the right direction. Mr. Pantaleone came down with a large team from the high school to talk about the rotating drop schedule, which we found very interesting. So he and his team spent a lot of time on site visits in 3 different locations, gathering data and information, and came down here to talk about the benefits, to talk about, you know, maybe, I don't want to say pitfalls, but things to be aware of. And so I thought I would share a little bit of that with you. And so, you know, a rotating drop schedule does involve a little bit of the condensing of the current master schedule, but there are great benefits to that. From my perspective and what I see, the greatest benefit is that you're increasing your contact time, your instructional time from about 42 minutes to approximately 55 minutes. And so you're picking up that level of contact time each period throughout the day. So as you're aware, we have a 9-period schedule with a 10th period that can be used for additional help. The discussion revolves around 6 academic periods in a day with a community lunch, which is also a great benefit. So everyone has lunch in the middle of the day at the same time. Great benefits there in collaboration with peers. In general, being around your peers from different grade levels, which isn't always possible. But for those who do excel and for those who wish to, students have an opportunity to book out extra time with some of our maybe supervisors or even coaches. There's opportunities for gym time and there's opportunity for extra study time. So, you know, we do see a lot of great benefit to this. Less transitions equals, you know, less traffic in the hallways, less chances for anything to go awry. We're very fortunate. There's not a lot of things happening that are negative at the high school, but again, just another benefit. Some items to consider that we did talk about here, actually at length. There's definitely going to be need for additional supervision, and what that looks like may be in additional staffing, it may be in additional stipends, it may be in additional time because of GTA contract obligations in current language. Again, just creating awareness. We understand that, you know, food service may need additional employees, we may need additional equipment, because the goal is not just to be in the cafeteria getting your lunch, but spread out throughout the building in multiple pockets and areas to do so. Of course, that would take on different variations of meals, I imagine. And so there needs to be some great conversation with food services and central office to kind of see what that might look like. We mentioned buildings and grounds and their extra involvement and what that might become as a result. Of course, you know, we imagine that there will be additional barrels of trash that needs to be removed promptly, you know, not laying around. And with that, there's also kind of monitoring of those little, like maybe areas underneath bleachers and things that can cause additional issues with insects or rodents, for instance. So, just talking about additional assistance needed in those areas. And then the biggest thing that we talked about, and we were all on board when I had mentioned it, we have sat here at this table and talked about it's absolutely imperative to provide opportunities for our students and not limit them based on schedule, right? And so sometimes in some of our buildings, the lunch schedule itself may prevent access to music or the arts, for instance. And so we created a very good awareness, and around the table, everyone agreed that this is something that has to be looked at closely, especially in somewhat of a mock-up in that instructional realm, maybe through, the school tool training portal or whatever it may be, to see what that looks like, how many students may not have access to something because of required program as per IEP, et cetera. And so there's an awareness that was created on the first day of the information session. I think we both felt pretty good about it. And so the exploration will continue. And then finally, I just want to mention, again, as a part of what we're trying to achieve here with TSI designation and the proper use of those grant monies, working with Ms. Driscoll and of course our representative from Scholastic, Mrs. Lucas, we're going to bring in some supplemental phonics materials that will help our students to really target those foundational skills, especially in that grade 2 area. And I know those materials will be able to be utilized elsewhere as well. And so, again, this is a supplemental material. It is not supplanting anything. It's fully aligned with science and reading initiatives. We also have a full alignment document with foundations, which is in place, especially down K2. We're not looking to thwart any of that progress. We want to tap into that and build on that. And so this program will allow us to do so. And again, most importantly, not supplanting, fully aligned with science and reading. It does provide explicit instruction in the area of phonics, which is one of our big 5 foundational skills. So we feel good about that. And as time goes on, we'll continue to inform you regarding progress. That will conclude my report this evening.
Thank you very much. Okay, moving on. All right, back into our resolutions. Do we have any particular items that anybody wants to hold before we get into it?
Mr. President, we do have 2 of our appointees here.
Oh, wonderful.
Yes.
Great.
And they've been waiting patiently, so I thought this would be the time when we get a little moment here. So perhaps if Stephanie and Seth could come up to the mic and just to the podium and just tell the board your name and what your assignment's gonna be and what building.
Hi, good evening. My name is Stephanie Gleason. I am being appointed tonight as a new English teacher at Goshen High School.
Thank you, Stephanie.
My name is Seth Stapinski, and I'm being appointed to new mechanic for the bus garage.
Thank you, Seth. Welcome to Goshen, just officially in just a moment, and congratulations in just a moment.
Thank you for waiting so patiently. Shows a good night to be here. Lots of good information. Great, thank you, Mr. Pacho. All right. Moving on, we need a motion to approve the consent agenda. Billy and Shannon. Be it resolved, the Board of Education approves the consent agenda as presented. All those in favor? Opposed? Congratulations and good luck.
Yes, thank you. Thank you for coming. I know you have problems work on, so this would be the time to make it right. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, now picking up where we left off with our old business, we need a motion to approve. This is 13.3, policy updates, second readings, renumbering, renaming, readoptions, and retirements. All right, we have Ashley and Scott. Be resolved upon the recommendation of the superintendent of schools, the Board of Education approves the second readings, renumbering, renaming, and readoptions of the policies as presented. Be it further resolved, the Board of Education, based on the recommendation of the district's NISBA policy consultant, retires the following policies as the content of these policies are either combined with other new policies, restatements of law, or hold insignificant policy guidance. Those are as presented as well. All those in favor? Opposed? Need a motion to approve the new business. Leah Shannon. Be resolved upon the recommendation of the interim superintendent of schools, the Board of Education approves the new business items as presented. All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Very good. All right, moving on to our next item, 13.4. Being that we've been doing a lot of things new here, I'm actually going to forego reading this whole document, which is listed here on our privilege of the floor sign up, which everybody reads. Basically, speaking in a civil manner. You have 4 minutes and we have one sign up, Kate Schmidt.
Thank you. What button? That one? Okay, great. Before I do that, will you, I have copies. If you would pass those out, since I have to speak very quickly. All right, so good evening. My name is Kate Schmidt. I've been an Odyssey of the Mind coach for 6 years. I was in this room just a few months ago to celebrate. My team came in fourth out of 58 teams at the world competition at the end of May. It's unfortunate that I'm here now to defend my reputation as that coach. After many years of coaching, I recently advocated for myself as well as the program that a central repository was necessary for our teams to work together and have a storage area where teams could access Odyssey of the Mind goodies. And that means generally various unique, hard to find recycled materials, sometimes large in size, which require a room for storage. And this allows the creative genius to shine through when building the props for competition. I have always stored most of these materials at my residence, which is no longer feasible as it has created tension in my household. Moreover, coaching at home is not the most prudent location due to today's climate of security and protection of students and staff. A location for both coaching and storage within the school district is important to the continued success of this program. I have reached out to administration to discuss this need. Unfortunately, these discussions did not take place, and I turned to teen parents for assistance. On Sunday, October 5th, we had our first parent meeting where we discussed the history of the program. As we had one new mom, we explored how we could solve our storage problem. As with any school matter, it is understood that one should go through the chain of command. I had already been in touch with the principal of the high school in March. He guaranteed me he would find some space. At the freshman barbecue, I approached the principal again and inquired about using the idea of the girls' locker room shower area. There were 2 different separate shower areas, and having a daughter playing 3 sports, I know athletes don't use these showers. So using just one of them would have been perfect for us, as we would leave a second one still just in case. The principal directed me to the athletic director, and he said he may even have a different room for me. Everything was positive until it wasn't. It went silent. No one returned my calls. No one returned my emails. I called the assistant superintendent and asked for a meeting, and shortly thereafter, a room was found, but there were limitations due to its size. The coordinator for OM reported that I was to take it or leave it. So at the same parent meeting, I asked for feedback and assistance of how to go forward. Veteran parents know the value of our program. They also feel the club is not considered or valued by the district as other activities are, which lends to some frustration. Parents said they would reach out to administrators. Parents also volunteered to split housing, certain materials, store large and/or wet props. That's an important element. And to host meetings so members can collaborate on prop building because the proposed items would never fit in the provided 45-inch wide closet. We, like an OM team, were solving our own problems, and that was it. It was over. That part of the incident is over. But the fallout from this meeting led to the drama and misunderstanding for which I am personally being held responsible without so much as the professional courtesy of a meeting to discuss the situation. The accusations of inappropriate comments made by me or any parent during this meeting are profoundly untrue. At no time were disparaging comments made about the program or any individual. I am at a complete loss as to why this occurred, nor was I given the opportunity to discuss the situation. I have been attacked by a parent of one of my team members with harassing texts and verbal abuse. This situation has been a he said, she said incident with the OM coordinator and this parent. I was simply trying to solve the situation, as a coach should. Unfortunately, I had not been given the opportunity to address the issue with central administration. I was informed I either needed to submit a letter of resignation or be terminated from the OM team coaching position tonight. I understand there's a chain of command, and I tried to address the situation with the OM coordinator to no avail. I have been informed that this was then taken to the level of New York State Odyssey of the Mind Association. The director of New York State OM called one of my other parents and asked if they were happy with my coaching. They responded favorably. The call lasted 10 seconds. This was the extent, may I have just a few
It's
more
been-
minutes to finish, wrap this up? May I have a minute just to wrap this up, please? This was the extent of the investigation and its the unfounded actions. Why was I not provided the opportunity to address these accusations when I specifically requested a meeting with the administration? I have positively coached these teams for 6 years. These accusations seem extremely odd at this time, particularly with a new coordinator and administrator in place. The defamation of my character and tarnishing of my reputation is unacceptable and disgraceful. Historically, I have been congratulated on the impressive coaching of the team. I respectfully request an evaluation of my coaching and investigation into this unprofessional situation before you terminate my position. I have served this district well and I advocate for the OM program consistently. I believe the OM coordinator can work through this matter and benefit the Goshen OM team. I thank the superintendent for agreeing to meet with myself and parents before Thanksgiving, and I trust we can revisit this before taking action. I just want to bring it full circle, which is not in my prepared remarks, but I want to bring it and relate it to the GIS PBIS program that we just discussed, because it relates to the high school OM team moving forward. One is the courage to work through, right? They said courage to work through our problems, our anger, and our resentment.
Thank you for everything. I appreciate it.
I can't relate this to the subject matter that's being taught and promoted in the GIS and SAS school. To remind you that my students need acknowledgement and forgiveness.
We understand.
They need to know gratitude and compassion. And instead, they haven't been given that opportunity, nor have I.
All right, moving on. We have open agenda items. Any board member comments, questions, or points to discuss?
I wanted to mention, you mentioned it already, but I have to say, one man, two governors was amazing. The job they do, with the plays here, I know the reputation, is known throughout the county, but it really was, hilarious to play. It really did. I want to thank everyone involved in that.
Wonderful. Any other comments or points?
First, I want to thank everybody for the tenure, for all the appointments, and everything we had today. Congratulate everybody, that was amazing. I have a question for Dr. Carter. On your presentation, you talked about schedules, and it sounds like there was a lot of good points on that, and a few things that we were taking away to consider. I was wondering, on a follow-up on that, is there a time frame on when maybe that committee would reconvene to talk about those things? And maybe some of those obstacles that we can maybe overcome or not overcome and maybe go forward. And then as a second part of that, is there any other local schools who do a schedule system similar to that we can look at or take away or pull points from?
Very good questions and comments. So there are three, two very local, and one within an easy driving distance. So we visited Warwick and Cornwall, I believe. And so we do have both of those high schools to kind of rely on as we go through the evaluation process, the exploratory process. I will work closely with Mr. Bon Jovi and the team to try to put something together, so that we can continue to discuss. I tried to give a brief overview of some of the items that we know are going to be a challenge, and I think it does take a little bit of, just a little bit more in-depth dive, of course, with fiscal responsibilities here and a lot of what we need to do staff-wise. But of course, we can do that as quickly as we would like to. So I'll take Mr. Bon Jovi's lead in that. I think Mr. Pantaleone and his team did a wonderful job of turning over multiple stones while putting together the presentation. There are very good benefits, no question about it. You've got schools who have been doing it for 2 or 3 years, maybe 6 years even. And then you've got schools that have been doing it for 30 plus, if not longer. And so, I think that we have an opportunity to continue to explore. I think we have an opportunity to take it and make it our own, so that it works for us. I just don't have solid answers for you in what that looks like exactly. But we do have a very good team. We did spend an awful lot of time to put that together.
Sounds like a great team.
And that's really important.
Good start. Thank you.
Sure.
Anything else? right, very good. Right, then we need a motion for executive session. Building Jen. Be resolved, the Board of Education will enter into executive session with the intent not to reconvene the business portion of the meeting. Discussions related to the employment history of particular persons or persons and tax certiorari. All in favor? Aye. Thank you and have a great night. Bye. Night.